radical! Welcome to this week's episode of the Print on Demand Cast. Each week, join the gnarly Travis and Josiah as they provide insight into the print on demand industry and equip you with the totally tubular tools, advice, and strategies you need to achieve success and hopefully have a few laughs along the way. Now on to this week's Totally Tubular show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Print on Demand Cast. Well, it's not a first in history, but it is kind of. We'll claim it. Travis and I are recording literally a room away. He is in the room on the other side of that door, if you're watching on video. And I am in the room on the other side of that door for him too, which is a little redundant. But here we are, Print on Demand Cast. I don't have to ask you how your day went because I was a part of it.
Yeah,
it was a day.
It was a day. I feel like, the curtain has been pulled back after last week's episode, and we revealed that, you're now working here. But at the same time, the whole transition to bring over your former company's clients and all of the production that you guys were doing over there and twisting it and changing it into our workflow has been challenging.
Man, it has been rough. It's been a rough day. Today is Tuesday as we record, but it feels like a Monday. It felt like back-to-back Mondays. And
I don't think tomorrow's going to feel any different.
Yeah, exactly. I was talking to my wife or Madeline, listeners know who she is. So Madeline was like, hey, she wanted me to do some like work related stuff when I got home from this. And I was like, no, I've had a long day. And the last thing I want to do is think about work more. So I'm literally like, the answer is a hard no. I love you, but I'm putting my foot down, which usually doesn't mean much of anything in a marriage. So I'll let you guys know next week if I end up doing work stuff when I got home from this episode. But this episode is going to be, I think, a lot of fun. We interviewed Juna Duncan for this week's episode. And so, Travis, tell the listeners, a little bit about Juna, how you know of him. And we just recorded the interview. So what are you looking forward to our listeners hearing this week?
Yeah, I think a lot of you might already know Juna if you're in the print on demand space and you watch YouTube, because he's got a massive YouTube channel. Detour Shirts is his brand, and he's got a big Instagram, big YouTube, and he does a lot of things in the community. Really, really kind, nice guy. Literally lives just on the other sides of the mountains from us in Utah. So that was kind of cool. I think what I'm excited for our listeners to hear is just there's just a lot of tips and kind of golden nuggets all the way through the entire podcast. And so I think it's going to be cool just for them to hear some of that stuff, some of those tips. And then I also think that it's going to be very cool for them to hear Juna's dad joke. What do you say, Josiah?
Oh, yes. See, we're not going to go to a little bit of a mix-up. Keep you on your toes, you fellow listener. But anyway, usually we do the dad joke before the main event. But this week, the dad joke is contained in the main event. So it's a little bit of inception of sorts. Yes, I'm glad that's exactly where both of our minds went. I feel so. We talked about Grace last week. She works in. I feel like we're going to talk about Grace from time to time. She never listens to the podcast, but I'm sure she'll hear secondhand from Aunt Jackie
or Uncle Mike.
Calling you both out, Uncle Mike and Aunt Jackie, trying to start drama. Anyway, I had told her, Travis and I are very alike in a lot of similar and dysfunctional ways, and
right.
The goal is for you listening, so you guys can post and ask for updates as to if Grace has done an air guitar solo yet. That is the goal for 2022. We play music here in the shop, and Travis and I are very animated and very extroverted personalities, and Grace is the opposite of those things. But we provide the in-shop entertainment, basically is what we're saying. So that is going to be awesome for you guys to hear this week's dad joke, additional dad joke from Juna as well. I'm excited for the interview, man. I think Juna is just really, really, really friendly. You can tell he just wants to help. You can tell that he wants people to succeed. Even after we talked to him, after the interview was done. He was very encouraging, very like, hey, man, this is your year. 2022 is going to be it for the Print on Demand cast. So it was really, really cool to talk to him. He's very encouraging. So I'm sure our listeners will get some of that as well. It'll be contagious. So with that, we're going to go to this week's main event.
Main event, who's calling?
All right, Travis, this week we have an interview with Juna Duncan, and I'm super excited to have him on the show. For those of you listening, just a little bit about Juna before we bring him on. Juna Duncan is a trained graphic designer with over 20 years of experience. He's done a little bit of everything: ads, website, mobile design, digital vector art, scrapbooking, prints and patterns, and much more. In May of 2005, he started his first print-on-demand shop with Cafe Press, and his life has never been the same. In 2017, Juna got into merch by Amazon and started an Instagram channel, Detour Shorts, and not shorts, Detour Shirts. That is unexpectedly a tongue twister. He started his YouTube channel of the same name a couple years later in 2019. Both Instagram and YouTube are places where he gives tips to others to design and sell shirts online. His Instagram has over 30,000 followers, and his YouTube has over 46,000. I feel like there's something we can learn from him on how to grow a following. The response has been incredible. Now, he still has a 9-to-5 job and does all the other stuff in his spare time. He hopes to keep growing this, so this can be his full-time job. So it is an honor and a pleasure to welcome Juna Duncan to the Print on Demand cast. Juna, thank you so much for coming onto the show, taking time out of your schedule to chat with Travis and I. Welcome.
Of course. Thank you. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me on here. Yeah, this is cool.
It's been a long time coming. I've seen, you online a lot. I've seen, I know you and RJ kind of, go back and forth every once in a while. And RJ's obviously been on the show, and several other people. We kind of run in the same circles. We've never really connected, but it's really great to have you on here. You're kind of one of the OG POD guys. So welcome to the Print on Demand cast, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having this platform for doing this, talking POD. This is awesome.
Yeah, of course. Now we talk to you about this prior. So for those listening, we're not springing this on Juna, but everyone listening knows that we do a weekly dad joke. So we've decided to include Juna on this. Not only are we going to give you a weekly dad joke, that's right. Yeah. So he had any joke technically he says is a dad joke. Same with Travis because they are fathers. So in and of themselves, everything's a dad joke. But we're going to give you a dad joke, and then Juna's going to give you one of his dad jokes, which is going to be super exciting. So everybody knows it's time for this week's weekly dad jokes.
Time for the weekly dad joke.
Nice.
All right. So, Travis, Juna, do you know what you call a bedpan in Russia?
Ooh, politically charged joke, no doubt.
Yeah, it is timely. Yes.
It's timely.
That's cool.
No, what do you call a bedpan in Russia?
You call it a poo tin.
Nice.
And that's this week's weekly dad joke, which is akin to what I feel about that particular individual. So it all works out. Okay, Juna.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Juna, hit us with your dad joke this week.
So I actually have a dad joke book. So I'm gonna read it.
We need that. We need to make our own, actually.
KDP
that thing.
Okay. Some people have trouble sleeping, but I can do it with my eyes closed.
Hey! That's awesome. Oh, fantastic. So there you go, folks. 2 for the price of 1. Admission is free, so I guess 2 for free. You're welcome. Nice. Is what I'm trying to say to all of you that are listening. So yeah, awesome. So in the intro there, Juna, you mentioned in 2005 you first kind of ventured into print on demand using Cafe Press. Absolutely. So tell us what led up to that moment in May of 2005 where you decided to kind of take the plunge into the world of print on demand.
Yeah, so I always loved doing T-shirts. I've been doing it since I was a teenager. I remember drawing stuff on pencil and paper in my room,
Yeah.
just like this would be a cool T-shirt. I actually got to make one, like printed one for a local group that I was in youth group, and so we had T-shirts made, and it was awesome. And then so I've been doing that throughout my life. But in 2005, I was in a business with my business partner. Just both of us worked at the Yellow Pages at the time, and we wanted some side income. And so we did a business for websites. So we were putting together websites. It was big at the time, right? People loved coding websites and having websites for their businesses. But that wasn't going so well. And so my business partner found that some people were doing print on demand on the side. And so we decided to do this for our business. It was 2005, and the first one we did, this date is May 5th, 2005. So Cinco de Mayo was the day we did it. And we uploaded, I think the first one we did is we were always eating ramen. And so we took it out of the package and scanned it in our scanner. And we uploaded that picture, that ramen picture, as a T-shirt, just a proof of concept, right? Because we didn't know what to upload at the time. And so we put it on a T-shirt and we uploaded, and that was our first one. And it was like, it took off after that. I had so many ideas because I've been doing T-shirts and stuff. And so I ran with it. He was still doing the website. And so eventually I just kind of took over the T-shirt side of the business, and he did the website side of the business. And eventually we kind of split ways, and I just started doing more of the T-shirt stuff, and he did his, and that's how it went. Never looked back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So do you have one of those ramen T-shirts somewhere?
I don't. I wish I
like
bought one, but it's still on Cafe Press, I think.
So we could go find one.
I think so. I think
That's hilarious.
I still have an account with Cafe Press from 2005, and you can see it says Cinco de Mayo 2005 when I first entered. So it's pretty cool.
Wow. So how many? I mean, speaking of Cafe Press, obviously I know you're on Merch by Amazon because we've talked about that. But how many different channels are you selling on, and are they all like royalty based, or are you doing any like seller of record type of channels like Etsy or Amazon? You know, like the Seller Central side or anything like that?
Yeah, I tried Seller Central. I didn't do so well. I got in. I tried Etsy. It was tough for me because I was used to I came from the Cafe Press model, right? Which is very similar to Merch by Amazon, where they do everything for you and you just get a cut of the, percentage of how much the shirt's selling for. So I'm on Cafe Press. After Cafe Press, we found Zazzle, went to Spreadshirt. These are all the OG ones.
Yeah.
And then I got onto Threadless. I don't know. I think the order's kind of off, but I'm on Threadless. I'm on Society 6, Designed by Humans, and TeePublic, Redbubble, of course, and Merch by Amazon. I think those are my top ones right now. I could have started some other ones that aren't doing so well, but those are the main ones. I had an Etsy account. Oh, sorry, but I stopped the Etsy, so I'm not doing Etsy currently.
Okay. I was just curious, like, would you, do you have like kind of a rank on, like, if you were advising somebody that was just getting into it, and I mean, we're going to get lots of advice from you today, but like, if you said, hey, start with this, and then maybe moved on to this after you've seen some success, how would you rank those different platforms that you're on right now?
If you can get on Merch by Amazon, no question. But the hard part is getting onto it. And so a lot of people have to wait for that. I would say Merch by Amazon is the best for me, at least, because I understand and how it works. And you can actually look, I think it's one of the very few, if not the only print on demand site where you can actually see what is selling by the bestseller rank. You know, a lot of other print on demand shops will say these are top selling or these are selling, but you don't know how much they're doing. I mean, on Etsy, you can kind of look at how many sales a shop has overall,
or reviews and on that particular stuff, item. Yeah,
that's kind of like, you have to kind of guess with that. So I would say Merch by Amazon if you can get on it, and then Redbubble and TeePublic, just because they have a lot more traffic and they're free to join, so it's like zero down, right? Etsy is great, and I did get a lot of traffic, but there's a lot of extra stuff that goes along with Etsy that if you're not used to it, like I wasn't used to, trying to, the ads for one thing, and you really got to talk to your customers, because a lot of that is kind of behind the wall, so to speak, for Merch by Amazon and Redbubble. You don't really have to interact with your customers, but Etsy you kind of do. If you want to make that grow, you kind of have to answer the messages and all that, kind of do custom stuff and all of that. So
Right.
So I would say, to answer your question, Merch by Amazon if you can get on it. If not, Redbubble, TeePublic to start.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where are you as far as Merch by Amazon? What tier are you
I'm on
at?
tier
And
100K.
oh wow,
100,000. Yeah.
How many live listings or how many live products do you have right now then?
I have,
Or I guess it's by design right now, isn't it?
it's by design now. Yeah. So they kind of, there's a two kind of thing. They have how many live designs you have. I have over 10,300 or something like that. And then they go by product as well. So I have over 230,000 products or something like that.
But you can have up to 100,000 designs on all of their products.
And all of their
theoretically.
products. So if I maxed out on the, which I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that, but if I maxed out 100,000 products, translate that to, 100,000 designs, I could literally get 1 million products. That's what they said, because I think there's like 60 or more products per.
Wow.
So it's just like 6 million products or something ridiculous like that. So yeah.
Yeah. But they limit you every day to how many you can upload.
Yeah.
For that
So I can
particular
upload
day, right?
10,000 a day. I can
10,000
upload 10,000
products, right?
10,000. No, I can upload. Yeah, 10,000 uploads. I get 10,000 uploads a day. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
product. Yeah.
So
Which
it
is
kind of
still-
take you a while to get to 6 million.
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna take me forever. I'm gonna need some.
yeah, yeah. That's awesome.
Well, I told you we were going to try to get some knowledge out of you, some
Yeah, let's do it.
some some tips and tricks. But I want to start with, like, what's something that you learned about on Merch by Amazon, like the hard way? You didn't know it, and then something happened, and you learned about it the hard way.
So with Cafe Press, so when I thought, well, two things that come to mind. First, when I went into Merch by Amazon, I thought I'd just take all my designs from Cafe Press and just put it on Merch by Amazon, right? Because I was on Cafe Press since 2005. I had thousands of designs already by that point. So my plan was just to take and put it on. And guess what? That didn't actually work. So there's a different audience for each print on demand site, which I had to learn the hard way, because my stuff that sold, my top selling stuff on Cafe Press, didn't necessarily make it on or sell well on Amazon. And so I had to look up one thing that I keep telling a lot of people is, on Amazon, you can really see, that's one thing that's really cool. You can see what's selling. You can use the autocomplete on Amazon and see what's trending or what the autocomplete says. And that means that's what people are looking for. You can look at the results, like look at that data. So that's something that I didn't do before with all the other print on demand sites, because there wasn't really a way to do that. And so by listening, when I first started Merch by Amazon, there are people like RJ, like you mentioned, and other people that were doing it already, that were doing videos and stuff. And so I watched them on YouTube, and they're like, no, you do this and do this and do this. And so I learned so much that way. So those are the kinds of things that I didn't know before going in, and it really helped take off. So now that I know what people want to buy, I design for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's interesting that there is a different, because I think a lot of people would just think that designs across the board work on Redbubble or Cafe Press or Merch by Amazon. So to know that there's probably a different audience that different things will hit better, maybe more specific stuff, or who knows. But yeah, that's an interesting thought that I don't think I would have necessarily thought of either. Because I would have been like you, like, I have all of these assets. I'm just going to throw them on whatever I can on my Amazon and hope that it works out.
Yeah. And it didn't. But I learned.
Yeah.
It's cool.
And I would say like the algorithms are probably different too. So what ranks maybe in Amazon may not rank in Cafe Press and vice versa, or
Absolutely,
Threadless
yeah.
or any of those other,
Yeah.
because they all have their own algorithms that they're using, and they're all
Yeah.
basically just search engines.
Yeah. And it's even style too. Like Redbubble's style is just a little bit different. They're looking for more hand-drawn, artistic kind of stuff, right? And
Okay.
Amazon, I think the style is more like something you would find at Walmart or those kinds of things, big bolder text and that kind of stuff. So just even down to the style, not necessarily just the topic, but a design style too. Yeah.
Do you have any shirts that and I'm assuming most of the things you're doing are shirts. I'm sure you have some other
Yep.
products, but the bulk
Yep.
of your sales is shirts. So I'm just assuming that.
Definitely shirts.
I'm wondering,
Yep.
do you have like some designs that have been winners on multiple platforms that kind of break the
Yeah.
rules?
Did
so to
the
speak?
ramen translate well?
Yeah,
by
this one right
Amazon?
here. That one does really well on merch by Amazon.
That's awesome.
It does pretty well. So that's why I put it up there. It's like it's something that I didn't know was going to take off. I kind of came up with the idea after, doing some research and stuff, and like, hey, I noticed some people, I don't know if you saw know of the shirt or the company Pugly, Puglie. I kind of got the idea from there. It's this pug, the hand-drawn pug. You see it all over the internet.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's always in the costume of something else, right? So it's this pug dressed up as a sandwich or as a pizza or as a like whatever. And I was like,
Wow.
man, if they can do it with pugs, I want to do an animal doing something. I don't want to copy the exact thing, but maybe if I do an animal eating different foods. So I started with this one. I have this corgi eating ramen, and then he's eating pizza, and then he's eating, like, I love food, so it made sense. And so it took off, and this one took off really well. It's still one of my top sellers on merch by Amazon and Redbubble and other places. So yeah,
That's awesome.
Lots
cool.
of
And
corgi lovers that love food.
which I picked the right one. I got lucky, but it also took off on Threadless, and Threadless put it in Box Lunch, the actual store. Box Lunch.
Awesome.
So that's where I bought this shirt from. This shirt right here isn't from merch by Amazon. I bought it. I went to the mall and got it from Box Lunch and put it up there.
Oh wow.
So, yeah.
That is incredible.
Cool.
That's phenomenal. Well, congratulations.
Yeah,
that's cool. Congratulations on that.
I thought it was incredible too. That's
why
I'm like, this is going on my wall. This is
I would have done the same thing. I would have signed it from myself to myself and put it on my wall.
I was thinking about it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I already got a signed shirt up here, so that's a cool one.
Oh, awesome.
Is that yours?
We have to go
back.
So
So I did this T-shirt on Cafe Press. Remember the show Lost?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was a contest. I didn't tell this to any of my. I'm gonna do a video about this one day, but you're the first exclusive. So
hey, we got a scoop.
This is a scoop. So this shirt here is signed by 20 of the cast members of Lost. So yeah, it's very, very rare. On Cafe Press, they had a contest. Who can design the best Lost T-shirt? And so I won. The
Holy
T-shirt
crap
contest. Yeah, so they sent it it was printed by Cafe Press. They gave me this T-shirt signed, the full season of Lost on DVD at the time. And oh man, I think a gift card for $250, something like that.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow.
So
That's
that goes
amazing.
on the wall too. Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
rightfully
dude.
so.
Congratulations. My wife made me she made me suffer through all 9 seasons of Lost. It was the show that I loved to hate. It was like every time I was like, okay, now they're going to finally tell us something. And they never did. And they would always leave you with more questions than you had answers. And then, and then the ending, it was like, I'm not going to spoil it, even though it's, what is it? 20
I've heard,
years old now?
I've never gotten into that show because everyone that I talk to has that same reaction to
as well. They
should.
should.
Like, man, either I love to hate it or man, I loved it. And then the ending completely made me want to just burn
worst
it to
ending
the ground.
of the show.
So I've avoided committing my time. So
Smart man.
Thank you. I win.
You won.
That's funny.
Yeah,
So,
cool stuff.
Juna, tell us,
Yeah.
I know you're a graphic artist, but do you have like obviously that's a great skill to have if you're going to be a
Uh-huh.
print on demand, in print on demand. But there's a lot of other skills that are required or needed that can help you along your, you're in your business and just along the road as you're trying to build that business. What are some things that make you uniquely qualified to be in print on demand? It could be schooling or just kind of maybe you have a really good idea of what SEO is, or I'm just curious if there's some things that you can identify as skills that helped you.
Yeah, good question. I think because I have a love for designing t-shirts, like I designed t-shirts before print on demand, right? I was drawing t-shirt designs in my spare time even before I got paid. Like I would do this even if my money was cut in half or a fourth. Like, so in the beginning, I really didn't make that much money. I was just doing it because it was a nice side outlet for my art. And I'm like, oh, I love doing this. Here's another one, just throw it up there. So that having a love for it and knowing how to do it is great. I think the other thing people have to have is kind of like patience. Like I think a lot of people have the, what is that, shiny object syndrome, and they want to go after the money and stuff. Like if that's what you want to do, it's going to be a tough road, because in the beginning it's really hard. Like you don't see the payoff for months, sometimes years, and unless you really love doing it anyway, and not looking at the money and just doing it because you like doing it and want to do it, it's a tough one. So patience, consistency, having a love for it. The design skill you can learn. I think I have an eye for design, t-shirt design, because I've been doing it for so long. I can look at a t-shirt and say, hey, that's a good one, or that's not. I think a lot of people who start and don't have that eye have a really hard time, because I get this a lot. Hey, my shirts I think are really good. Can you look at my portfolio and look at my shop? Tell me what I'm doing wrong. Like, if you don't know if your t-shirts are good or not good, that's going to be hard, right? Because you're just putting in t-shirts and you're just like, I think it is. I don't know what a good t-shirt looks like, but I think this is a good t-shirt. Like, you got to really study that and know, like, this right here, good t-shirt. This right here, that needs some work, right? So that's a real, I think that helps me a lot.
Do you think that's directly like part of your graphics art training, or is it just because you've freaking designed so many shirts that you've just seen so many things that it's just kind of a byproduct of that?
Yeah, I think it's both. I think it's both. I think it's because I like art and because I love t-shirts, I can recognize it now. I've loved t-shirts since I was, middle school. A very young age, I remember going to the mall and looking at t-shirts and like, oh, that t-shirt's awesome. Oh, this one's really cool, So I kind of grew up with knowing what I like and seeing the styles change over time, and like, yeah, that's a really good t-shirt. And that's kind of, I don't know if that's what started me liking art, or if I like art first and then went into it. Like, they're all around the same time. And so I loved art and t-shirts at a very young age, and that's how my trajectory went. So yeah.
Yeah, I know, like, the last probably, I don't know, 5 or 10 years since print on demand's really kind of come into the forefront of like businesses that kind of the everyday Joe can start from their home.
Zero
t-shirts. T-shirts have been like in the public eye, like way more than they were maybe in the 90s, or you know what I mean? Everybody was wearing like button up and a lot of things like that, but t-shirts have really taken off. Have you've probably seen like a million trends. Is there anything that's trending right now and in like stylistically that you're seeing that maybe our listeners want to take a look at?
Yeah, that's a great question. The vintage stuff is still here. Like vintage sunset, vintage rainbows. Rainbows have been taking off a lot more than they did last year, I think. This year, at least late last year, coming into this year, I see a lot of more rainbow. Like, not just rainbow, like hand-drawn kind of rainbow, like the doodle rainbow with the different colors and things inside of the rainbow. So look up that that's a big trend that I'm seeing right now. So it's not just your basic rainbow, right? You'll see it on Merch by Amazon. At least this is for Merch by Amazon. Like I said, for every different POD site, there's going to be like a different trend or a different thing that's catching. Vintage stuff, vintage art on Redbubble, I think is still pretty huge. If you can draw kind of with that vintage twist, you've probably seen a lot of those as well. The mashups are always good. Puns are always those things are timeless. So if you can do a good thing like that, but the vintage rough color, kind of like the distressed texture, that thing's like, that's been going on for a while, and I don't think that's going to stop. That's going to, at least on Merch by Amazon, that's like a staple. Like put that texture on everything, and you can, so like a big wider group of audience. So
go ahead, Josiah.
No, go ahead. You go.
I was just going to say we were just on at ISS in Long Beach, and one of the and just visiting a lot of the apparel companies, and one of the things that I noticed that all of these new colors that they're coming out with, they're all like kind of like muted colors, are very very, they're like a sand or an army green, kind of, but muted army green. Yeah. And more natural colors, some pastels, but even muted pastels, not necessarily the bright. But even then they were still introducing some of the bright, but I mean, I don't know if there's something to that kind of, you can marry kind of some of those muted colors with some of those vintage looks, and really kind of hit. Yeah, they really do match. And it seems like there's something going on, not just with the design trends, but even like the color choices, the palettes that we're using to put our designs on, which is really cool.
Yeah, you see it. It hits Merch by Amazon a little later than like the general public. So you're going to see, like, if you went to like Target or something like that, it might trend down back to Merch by Amazon. But yeah, those colors, those muted colors are great. You see them in the cottage core. I think I talked about this in one of my videos, the cottage core design style, with the frogs and the mushrooms and things that they usually have a little more muted colors. They're not so super bright, right? Garden stuff. So
yeah, that's awesome. So when you're talking about, the rainbows that are hand drawn and the things that are trending and
the doodle stuff,
the doodle stuff, my question is to you, like, what are some of the tools that you use to find what's trending? Are there softwares that you use? Is it just your own research? And then beyond that as well, as far as making designs, what tools do you use specifically for POD, from the research to actually bringing the design to life?
Yeah, so for research, I keep it really simple. I actually don't I try out different things, but I still go back to DS Amazon Quick View. Like I tell all my followers, it's free. Like you can go on Amazon and, type in a thing in the autocomplete and then look it up and look at the BSRs. I use BSRs a lot to just try to gauge what's selling and what's hot. And, I do use Pretty Merch. I have that. I love the new feature, the research tool, where you can just see it all in a row. Like I've said that on my video too. I don't use it all the time, but it's nice to go in there and just kind of click on that research, and then it tells you like the top 10, top 100. It does it in order, by BSR of Merch by Amazon. I've tried Merch Informer. I haven't done it recently. I do have that Merch Informer as well. Sometimes if I get stuck and don't know what, the Merch Informer has a different way to look at stuff, so you can go in there and type in some keywords and stuff like that. I know there's so many other things out there. I personally don't use them, but I would love to try them. I know there's Productor out there. I don't want to leave anybody out, Merch Titans and all of that, but I personally don't use them. Not to say that they're bad. I just, I only have so much time to try.
Sure.
But Affinity Designer is my app of choice. I've been getting into Canva lately, though, because of the videos that I'm doing. I'm like, hey, let me try this on Canva, and so much graphics on there.
I know, it's crazy.
It's unreal how much, and for free too. A lot of them are free.
Yeah.
There's a majority of them that's for the pro, and I'm like, I don't want to use pro right now. But after looking at how many graphics there are, I'm like, man, maybe I do go pro and save me some time from drawing, because I draw a lot of my stuff. I drew this, those things by hand. And that can take a long time.
So, oh yeah, for sure. No,
Wow.
we use Canva Pro
nice.
a lot, and I think it's like $100 a year or something like that.
Yeah. I can
it's
make
not
that
expensive.
Easy. Yeah.
And the cool thing about Pro is that you can export everything with the transparent PNG background. Which you kind of have to have if you're doing POD, or it makes it more difficult because then you got to export it and then remove the background in another tool. It's just easier to have it all kind of in one tool.
Totally.
But yeah, I love Canva. And then you have access to so many design elements, and they're all, I think it's all commercial. Like you can use it all commercially, which is obviously what we need as POD sellers. But we've used that a lot. We obviously also use, we use Photoshop and Illustrator, depending on what it is doing. Or what we're doing with it. If it's like a text-based design, it's usually like a Photoshop because that's just easier. And then we have some designers that we've contracted with, like virtual assistant designers that do a lot of things for us. So for our in-house stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But Canva, man, that's a nugget. That's a gold nugget. I know
it is.
It's a lot of people, have been talking about it lately, and I think there's a good reason they're talking about that.
Yeah, I didn't know. I had no idea because I've been going this far. It wasn't until a couple months ago that I started doing Canva because people on my channel have been asking, "Hey, I don't have Affinity Designer, but I use Canva." I'm like, "Okay, I'll check it. I'll see what it's all about." Everybody keeps talking about this Canva. I get ads on YouTube for Canva. Let me try it, and I was blown away. Yeah. Like there's some things that you still can't do. I wish they put a pen tool in there or something like that, but for free, man, or for even that
online. Yeah, an online. Everything's
always with
done
you.
online.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
beautiful.
I've made over 20 designs already, and I've only been using it for a couple months. I've made over 20 designs with Canva, and they turned out pretty good. And I agree with you with the transparency, because if you're using like one of those distress fonts, that's a pain to take out the background.
To go in
and, forget that. So yeah.
That's awesome.
Go ahead, Josiah. Let's ask him one more question, then we'll get into the magic questions.
Yeah, let's do that. Magic questions. There's a lot of our listeners that are starting out in Merch by Amazon, or maybe have been in Merch by Amazon for a little bit. I think that the majority of our audience is probably the people who are using the Redbubbles and those kinds of places to outsource the production, like Merch by Amazon. So for those listeners that are stuck in that purgatory of tier 10 or 25, what are a couple tips that you have for those listeners that might help them kind of break through that, proverbial glass ceiling, as it were?
Yeah. Do your research. Like a lot of people get on Merch by Amazon and they forgot to do the research. They're like me back in the day, where I just think that whatever sells on Cafe Press, I put it on there and hope for a sale. That's not good use of the data, right? Go and figure out what is selling. It could be trends, it could be holiday trends, it could be evergreens, whatever, but you need to know what's selling on Amazon. Give yourself the best chance of making a sale, right? And with that, giving yourself a best chance, look at the competition. It's a competition. You're on page, if you get on page 1, hopefully, look at everything else on page 1, and is your design better than the other design out there? It gives people a reason to pick your design over somebody else's. If you're just copying somebody else's design, they're going to pick the one that has the lower BSR, or whatever, that has Amazon choice on it. They're not going to pick yours if yours is kind of similar. So make sure that there's a reason that yours is standing out. Make sure that people want to buy yours. That comes with research. Don't just, throw anything up there and hope that it works. Give yourself the best chance. That could mean colors, making it stand out, using the right graphics. That could mean lowering the price, whatever it is. So give yourself the best chance and do the research.
I have one more question, because I lied about one more question. So I have one more question after the one more question. We had Michael Essany on here. Or no, not Michael Essany. Essick. Yeah, I get those two confused. But we had Michael Essick on here, and we were talking about sometimes a design needs to be on, one color and that's it, or two, and so
Sure.
would you recommend that in tier 10 or 25, or should they just give you as many colors as they can to try to maximize the chance of a sale? Or does that take away from the chance of a sale, do you think?
I think put it on as many colors as your design looks good in. So if you look, you have to look at it and see, like, if it doesn't look good on blue, don't pick blue just because you need 10 colors. So like put it on the colors that it works good in. If you can't see the text on the color shirt, don't pick that color. So yeah, it can work with one. Obviously, like Valentine's Day is a great example for you might want to just do it on red, So yeah, it just depends on the design, I think.
Okay. Good tip.
Awesome. One more, because I'm
let's do it.
Also
man.
a liar.
I'm ready.
I'm also a liar. No, we had our research team. Our research team is me. We don't have a research team.
Nice. Go research.
Anyway, my question is for you, sir. Is this the tea that you were talking about on Cafe Press? Because I'm dying to know. It's processing. Is that it?
Is that ramen?
I mean, that is ramen. It looked just like that. If it says Detour Designables, that was my shop back in the day. So we went from Detour Designables to Detour Shirts. So look at the shop name. But it looked exactly like that. Yeah.
Exactly like
that is so funny.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I was curious to know whether or not that was it, but that's hilarious. I love that.
I think it sold actually. Yeah.
Did it?
Oh,
that's good.
Yeah, it did. The thing I learned back in the day in Cafe Press that, man, I hope everybody knows is don't do trademark stuff. Don't do copyrighted stuff. Like back in the day, I figured this out, but I didn't know. So this is another show that came out back. It was Heroes back on NBC. I don't know if you guys know that show.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I knew when that came out, the phrase that was, it says, "Save the cheerleader, save the world." Like I saw that and I just threw it on a t-shirt. And it got a ton of sales. Like I made a lot of money on it. And then after a while, they're like, no, you can't do that. I'm like, oh no. So I got in big trouble for it. But after that, I learned my lesson. Like, hey, like things are copyrighted and trademarked. Like, don't do music, don't do TV shows. Like, you got to have a license for that. And I didn't. They did have a license for law, so I was able to do law
you were
stuff,
good on
but,
that one.
Good.
Yeah, didn't for Heroes.
That's
go ahead.
That's just something that, I mean, it's such a hard it's a hard line to find for a lot of people, because they're like, I'm making so much money, or they say everyone else is doing it. And it's true. There are a lot of people that are that are walking that line and far over that line in a lot of cases, but don't risk your freaking Merch by Amazon account or whatever account, whatever.
Don't kill the golden goose. What are you doing?
Exactly. You couldn't have said it better. Don't kill the golden goose, for a quick buck, Don't steal one egg when you can have the goose that lays, hundreds of eggs over time.
All right. Well, we're going to go to a segment. These are questions that we ask all of our guests here on the Print on Demand Cast. It's a set of questions. Awesome. We'll pick 3 out of the list to ask you. And so with that being said, if you haven't noticed by now, we like ridiculous bumpers to everything that we do.
Please, this is awesome.
Speaking of trademark infringement.
Yeah, brace yourself.
Can't wait.
Yes, brace yourself, because here comes the magic questions.
That's beautiful.
Yep. Yeah. See?
Yeah.
It inspires you, doesn't it? The t-shirts on top of all the turrets on the castle.
What the listeners don't see, what the listeners didn't see is Juna wiping tears from his eyes before he had to come back on camera. And get
got me right here. I feel it.
Right where it counts. Yes, every time. Yeah. So Travis, why don't you go ahead and take one of the first magic questions?
Okay, we always ask this one at the end, but if you had to start all over, you lost all of your current contacts, you didn't have any accounts, you were on tier 10, maybe you got in, but you didn't have, what is the first thing that you would do to get back to where you are today in print on demand?
Wow. Well,
After you cried yourself to sleep that night.
had to start all over.
Yep.
I would do the same thing that I preach. Like I would definitely do the research, find out what's going on. I would probably use social media. I do have Instagram and things, YouTube. YouTube is very powerful.
Yeah.
You can reach a lot of people. I'm talking to people on YouTube. So yeah, I would use that. Maybe go out and try and design for people on YouTube. I'm thinking of actually doing that. If I had
That's a good idea.
I'll design for you, and then tell your friends, or maybe for your family. What can I do? Find bigger groups like that would buy 10 at a time or 5 at a time or something like that. So I haven't tried, and I've heard this on other people where they go out to businesses or restaurants and things like that and kind of set up a deal. Not exactly how that would work, but you could get some people to buy for a family group, or maybe a church group or something like that, to buy T-shirts online for you. So I'll go with that. I'll go big. Try and get some big sales right up front, because you need that to get out of the tier anyway.
Right.
Maybe buy 10 shirts myself and try and give them away to people or something like that.
Yeah, I actually bought myself out of tier 10 when I was back in the day, for that very reason. It was a little easier to make sales back at the beginning of Merch by Amazon than it is today.
Yes, for sure.
Full disclosure, but yeah.
Competition is a lot higher.
Yeah.
Your question, bro.
Alrighty. So throughout your career in print on demand, how important have mentoring relationships been and training? Do you have anybody out there that has been a mentor to you, or that has offered advice and kind of helped you get to where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the beginning, like I said, when I first started Merch by Amazon, in fact, because I made some connections in Cafe Press, that's how I found out about Merch by Amazon. So I was doing pretty well on Cafe Press. They don't have the tier system, but I was up there with, I knew a lot of the people that were doing it for a long time back in 2005. There was actually a conference for Cafe Press that I went to and networked with a lot of people. And when Merch by Amazon came out, someone from the Cafe Press community reached out to me and said, "Hey, you got to try this Merch by Amazon thing. It's going crazy. It's like Cafe Press back in the day." I'm like, "All right, I'll give it a shot." And man, thank you for him, because that it was awesome. Changed my life. But when I was in Merch by Amazon, like I said before, I looked on YouTube, and like I said, YouTube's a gold mine. There were a lot of people that probably aren't doing Merch by Amazon right now, but they were back in the day, and they were really helpful. And telling me all the different tips and things. And that's when I got the idea of kind of calculating. I like doing these lists and doing the math. And I figured out, by what I was selling at the time in the lower tiers, I kind of calculated how much I needed to design and upload to get. I really wanted $5,000 a month. And I was like, I'm going to get this. And this is how long it's going to take. I made a roadmap and said, and I think what I said is I needed 10,000 uploads to get to 5,000. That's what I figured for the math. It's actually, 20 times that much, because you need like 200,000. But at the time, that's what I thought. So I kept pushing. In the beginning, man, I was a lot more, I don't know if madman's the right word, but I stayed up late and did as much as I could. I maxed out my uploads every day as much as I could until I reached about 50. I probably couldn't do more than 50 design uploads at the time, because you didn't have all the marketplaces and all of this stuff before.
Right. Sure.
So that's it. Yeah. So mentoring, back to your question, it really helps. Like if you can learn from somebody who's already done it, like you can get that much further ahead a lot faster. And so I've actually reached out, and I've met RJ first at the conference, at the merch conference in Seattle. He didn't know me at the time, and we've started doing videos together and stuff. And then I reached out to people in the merch community are awesome. I watched Shimmy and Ryan Hogue on YouTube way before I actually reached out to them and did videos with them. And so people are so nice, like you guys as well. So just reach out, ask. You'd be surprised how much free information you can get from people who just want to help.
Yeah, I mean, that's we've talked about this a million times on the show. That's the whole reason we started this show, is because I'm an avid podcast listener, as is Josiah, and there's a lot of YouTube content, but there wasn't a lot of podcasts that were dedicated to it. And so we decided to do this just because we wished that it would have been there when we had started. And so it's been really fun kind of trying to cultivate a group on, Facebook, and just put information out there for people and answer questions and all of that. And but yes, every person that we've reached out to in the print on demand community has been just very, very kind and very open and willing to come on the show or share advice or all of that stuff. It's been very cool, to your point. So
great community.
Yeah, let me do one last question before we let you go, Juna. So
love it.
Put on your little, turban and peer into your crystal ball and tell us what you think the future of print on demand is. So look 5 years ahead, 5 years, 10 years, whatever you want. What's the future?
My hope is, and this is pie in the sky, my hope is that we can figure out a way to validate people's designs. Like, there's so much copycatting going on right now. In merch band, all Etsy has it, everybody has it. Just because it's so easy, right, to take someone's design and put it up and sell it as your own. I hope that we can use the blockchain or some kind of thing that we can validate. Like, I put it up first. This is my design everywhere. Like, no one else can use it. If they do, automatic takedown, whatever it is. I hope it goes that way, because that would be really nice for the designers, as well as, make it feel a lot safer. I hope a lot more marketplaces open up, a lot more colors, just a lot more opportunity to do that. I love that Merch by Amazon just announced that you can upload a design and kind of scale it like you do on Redbubble. Smart. That's just going to save a lot of time and heartache, because there's sometimes I upload stuff and like, oh no, that was too big, and now what do I do? And now it's waiting in the thing for the review, and I can't take it off. And I hope there's a lot more of that kind of stuff where we're listening to the actual POD sites take some initiative and listen to people like us who have been in the community, and listen to those kind of suggestions. Like, there's some simple things that they could do, and they could really stop a lot of the copycatting going on by taking down people, and that kind of stuff. So I hope it just gets better. Competition, I think, as we do these things and talk about how well print on demand is, and as people learn that, competition is just going to get higher and higher. It's going to get harder, but I still think it's a great place. Like, we're going to wear T-shirts for a long time. I don't think T-shirts are going to go anywhere. But yeah, so it's going to be great. I think you're going to see some other niche shops. I think it's going to be hard to beat Amazon, though. Like, you're going to have to make a really good case for as far as traffic, organic traffic. It's going to be hard to beat Amazon. But if you do your own stuff like Shopify and things like that, of course you can drive your own traffic, and that's a totally different thing. But future of print on demand could be really awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Juna, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to sit down with us, man. It was great getting to talk to you, and I think there's plenty of like Travis has said, nuggets here that people can latch onto, and pieces of advice for people who are just kind of venturing into this adventure of print on demand. And even those that have been in the industry for a while. It was really good to talk to you, man. So thank you for taking the time. Before we let you go, though, please tell everybody everywhere that they can find you. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram.
Wow.
Where can they find you? Where can they follow you? How can they reach out and glean some more from your knowledge?
Nice. So I started Instagram back in 2017, right around the time I did merch for Amazon. It's taken off, like you mentioned in the intro. So I look at my DMs pretty frequently and the comments there. I'm on YouTube a lot, so you can see Detour Shirts there. I answer every single comment. So if you want to leave a comment there, I look at them. If you have a question, I'll put it there and I'll try and answer them. I check my Facebook group. You're all invited. Facebook group, Detour Shirts, same name. You do have to follow the rules though, so look at those rules really carefully, and then I'll let you in. But great community there. Like I don't know everything there is for print on demand, but luckily there's a group. So when I like to use this, if people ask me a question that I don't know, and it happens a lot, I'm like, go to my group. There's a lot more people there. I'm sure somebody there can answer in the group, because I don't know, especially like other countries and paying and all this stuff. I'm like, I don't use Payoneer. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know how to do that with if you don't have PayPal or signing up and stuff like that. So those are my main places. I'm pretty active on those every day. So if I don't get with you within the day, I'm either on vacation or not looking, but pretty much I'm looking at that every day. So
awesome.
That's cool, man. You're a machine. You got a full-time job and
I love
all these social channels and making all these shirts, and you're just doing it. You're just burning the candle at both ends, brother.
Yeah, it's spinning plates. It's spinning. You got to spin this one.
Yeah, it's like to the keeping everything spinning and like, oh no, one fell. No, that's awesome, man. We're super thankful that you took time out of your schedule. And
of course, this is awesome. I'll do it again.
Yeah, we'd love to have you again. We'd love to, wherever we are. We always talk about this mythic idea of doing a POD cast get together at some point, but we'd love to meet you in person and hang out and
where are you guys at?
It'd be a lot of fun. We're in Colorado, actually. So we're
that's right. We're right next door. I'm in Utah.
Yeah, you're in Utah. You're just over the mountains.
Yeah. Meet in the middle. I don't know if there's nothing. There's probably nothing in the middle.
Leadville.
We will calculate exactly in the middle, and we'll have to bring our own beer. But I don't know if there's going to be a bar there, but we'll have a little picnic of sorts, some kind of clandestine meeting. But thank you so much for coming on the show, man. And we look forward to chatting again soon.
Of course. Thanks for having me, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Another big thank you to Juna for taking time out of his schedule. Like you said, Travis, the man's a machine. He just keeps going. He's got a full-time job. He's got tens of thousands of people wanting to know what content he's going to post on his social media channels. He's in high demand, and he took the time to come on the Print on Demand podcast and chat with us and kind of give some tips to our listeners. So now that the interview is over, I will say it's actually pretty cool that he's got a shirt signed by the cast of Lost that he designed that won a contest. If you're not watching on YouTube or on Spotify, because we have video on Spotify now, if you're not watching on one of those platforms, be sure to check it out, because he shows us, he's got it framed behind him, the shirt that won a Lost contest. I want to do a thing where, maybe we have him back on for a bonus episode and we kind of pull up shirt designs and we have a bracket tournament. We've talked about bonus episodes a lot, Travis and I offline, about brackets and tournament style, but to have him kind of weigh in on like good t-shirt, bad t-shirt, and, pick the t-shirt design champion of that round, whatever. It'd be a lot of fun, because I feel like he's got a lot of cool insight on what does make a good t-shirt design.
That would be a lot of fun. I would totally be down for that. We've talked about, everyone knows we've talked about bonus content. And I promise, one day we're just it'll be like like a 3-minute thing that we put in the podcast feed that's like, hey, this is bonus content. And we like wave our hands and run around the office. And then that's it. And then we say, hey, we've done bonus content.
Yeah.
Hopefully
It'll be
it's a little
nothing
more
of what we planned. It'll just be the bonus content.
It will have been done, I think, is the most important thing here. But no, I really enjoyed Juna. I really had a good time, like you said, after the actual episode. He was giving us tips and how to get a better or a bigger audience and how to expand our reach kind of with the print on demand cast, which is just really cool because he doesn't have to do any of that. That's not he's got his audience. He was just genuinely wanting to help us. And we were talking about how kind everybody is in the print on demand world. And Juna's kind of the poster child for that. So it was really cool having him from Juna from Detour Shirts on. I loved his answer to the crystal ball question, what's the future of print on demand, and how he was talking about maybe someday we could be on the blockchain. These designs could. It's like, wow, that's really, really cool. And probably not too crazy, honestly.
Well, I mean, no, because NFTs all deal with blockchain from what little I understand of them. And we've had a point of interest about NFTs, like, but if that is part of that process or that technology or whatever, I feel like it wouldn't be too far of a stretch to try and implement that into the uploading process on various print on demand sites. So that you can know, like he said, verified design. So people aren't just pirating your stuff. That it seems like a logical solution or the best solution that I've heard to solve that problem.
Exactly. I've never heard anybody talk about the blockchain. And when he said that, I was like, oh my gosh, genius. Because we've had Ken Reel talking about copyright on here. All of these guys, Michael Essick was talking about it. We've talked to a lot of people in the print on demand world, and copycatting is a big, big deal. And when he said, blockchain, I was like, well, duh. That was a great one. So I appreciated that.
Yeah.
Overall, just a great guest. And, maybe we could have him on someday, bonus content or not.
Sure. Just have him back on. I mean,
just have it back on. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely, as we've progressed in the podcast, there's been there's people that we have on the show that the interviews just kind of fly by. Right. And I looked at the timer as we were recording, and at first it was 20 minutes. And I was like, man, we're almost through all of the questions here. Like, I don't know how long is this interview going to be? And then just organically the conversation, because he's very easy to talk to. He's very conversational himself. I mean, the interview itself is about 42 minutes. So, I loved it. And I'm excited to have him back on, and hopefully one day be able to have him, in studio or connect with him in person. And that would be a lot of fun. So thank you guys, though, the listeners, for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions for Juna, you can reach out to him. We're going to put the links to all of his social media in the show notes, as always, to make it easy for you to have access to him, to ask him questions. If you have questions for us, you know that there's 2 ways to do that. You can email us at info@printondemandcast.com, or you can join the Facebook group, which the link right now isn't pretty. And I only say that because pretty links is what we use to actually make it all very pretty, which is why it's called Pretty Links. I digress. The link right now is facebook.com/groups/printondemandcast, and you can get in touch with us there, join the community, join the conversation, ask questions. We're excited to see that group continue to grow and expand. And as always, if you're wherever you're listening to your podcasts, the PODcast is there for you. And you guys know what I'm going to ask you. Let's say it all together. If you're listening on the Apple Podcast app, leave us a 5-star review. Do we all say it together in unison? I hope so, because it's been 79 episodes of the same song. So no, seriously, leave us a 5-star review on Apple. It helps the algorithms. You can rate us on Spotify as well, and we have video on Spotify. So if you don't want to go on the YouTubes, you can listen to us on the Spotifys. And so it's nice. I have a couple of podcasts that have video on Spotify, and I can watch them on the go. I can turn my phone on to sleep, and the audio keeps playing, and it's very, very nice. So we have that feature available for you as well. So Travis, anything else before we put a bow on this and wrap it up.
I just want to say, hey, you should check out our Instagram page too, which is just instagram.com/print-on-demand
Print
cast.
on demand cast. Yes, I
Yeah.
just posted a little snippet here, a little picture of the recording session that is going on, and you can kind of see the behind the scenes, what it looks like on the other side of the camera, the microphone, the ring light, all of that, is there. So, but be sure to follow us there because we're going to be adding more content there as it continues to grow. So for Travis, I am Josiah, and thank you guys so much. We'll see you right here next time on the Print on Demand Cast.
See ya.
Hey, babe, thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Print on Demand Cast. We hope you enjoyed the Totally Tubular Show. If you got a question or a suggestion for the show, send Travis and Josiah an email at info@printondemandcast.com. Want to be wicked nice? Take a minute to rate and review the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to subscribe now so you don't miss next week's episode. See you next time, for sure.